The speeches I have already delivered do not necessarily reflect my real views on boldness, and they do not necessarily reflect real facts. I composed them for fun, and in fact, I had good fun formulating my defiant arguments in my first speech and presenting a kind of bold paradise in the second one. The letter from the Japanese woman and alleged Japanese admiration for the old and bold were a projection of my erotic dreams rather than reality. This time I am going to be more serious and more truthful. Preparing the speeches, I tried to trace the history of the subject in the world literature. And I have to state that the whole medical literature concerning boldness was absolutely out of my interest. Doctors used to treat boldness as a kind of disadvantage, if not an illness, and they usually focus on biological causes of this condition. Contrary to their approach, I tried to present boldness as a privilege, an ornament, and a gift of nature. And as far as I know, I had only one predecessor in the world literature that shared the same approach. It was 16 centuries ago when Synesius of Cyrene, an intelligent Greek author, wrote a kind of a speech titled The Eulogy of Boldness. Some other interpreters translated also In Praise of Boldness. The speech by Synesius is not easy to be read for people today. The author often recalls some works of the ancient Greek literature and some peculiar episodes of the Old Greek mythology, subjects that are now mostly unknown for an average reader. Many arguments he had used praising boldness are not very convincing. The subject has obviously required a new approach and a new attempt. But one thing seems to be sure: the glory to be the first author that raised and praised values of boldness. This glory and this splendor belong to Synesius, a respectable and well-educated Greek citizen of the ancient town called Cyrene. To my surprise, I haven't found any other authors, apart from Synesius, that approached the subject of boldness in a positive and affirmative way. I think I can easily ignore a couple of medieval and Renaissance writers that just translated the speech by Synesius into Latin and other languages. They simply repeated the Synesius argumentation. So I hope to be the first speaker in the modern history that glorifies boldness. And as such, I owe you some necessary information about the history of my interest in the subject and about my personal way to discover values of boldness. During my university period, in my early 20s, I spotted this nice little book. This is the Polish translation of the Eulogy of Boldness, published in 1962. Synesiusz z Cyreny Pochwała Łysiny. This book did not impress me. Those times I had probably too much hair to appreciate properly the author and his original defiant approach. And additionally, I had this naive belief that the problem of boldness would be eternally beyond the horizon of my personal experience. And I had been wrong. It was in my late 20s already when I noticed the first symptoms of boldness. Of course, I tried to hide it, combing my hair in a special way. And I used to waste a lot of time in front of a mirror. But the result was very unstable. A little blow of a wind was quite enough to destroy my laborious haircut. And being 30, I used to say, I still have good chances to pick up a nice girl, if only the weather is windless. At the age of 31, when a nasty wind again ruined my fragile haircut, I came to extreme solution. I just cut my hair radically, and at last I liberated myself from any worries concerning my hair. And surprisingly, it started a period of my life when I used to have the most beautiful erotic adventures. I don't want to claim it is enough to shave your head to gain sympathy of nice women. I had some other advantages those days. But I find it still remarkable that the most successful and multifarious period of my erotic life took place just in my 30s, when my boldness was quite visible and, the most important, when I just stopped worrying about it. Boldness obviously gives you a kind of freedom. You stop paying attention to your haircut. You stop touching and correcting your hair. You know, these neurotic automatic movements. You stop paying attention to a wind, its strength and its direction. If it is raining, let them worry. I mean the ones that have their hair. One thing seems to be sure. People pay unproportional attention to these tiny structures called hair, considering its tiny biological importance. The English language contains many sayings and proverbs that express some truth with an incomparable brevity. One of my favorite examples is no pain, no gain. The proverb that is well rhyming, extremely short, and at the same time rich in content. As for boldness and this peculiar freedom it gives to a man, I would like to enrich the treasury of English proverbs with another one of my own invention. No hair, no care. No hair, no care. Thank you.